Breathing exercises. I recommend reviewing the instructional videos on the posterior chain mobility sequence as well as lumbar flattening to better understand this video. 4-7-8 breathing. Use breathing instead of timing to complete this mobility activity. That means using 4-7-8 breathing to complete each sequence of this stretch. One cycle of 4-7-8 breathing consists of inhale through your nose for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 7, exhale out of your mouth for a count of 8. Determine how many 4-7-8 breathing cycles you want to do for each breathing exercise. Start off by doing part of the posterior chain mobility sequence. First, do the tennis ball foot massage on both sides, and then progress to the latissimus dorsi stretch. Please see the instructional videos of the posterior chain mobility sequence for details on these two stretches. Begin by doing lumbar flattening. With breathing exercises, we start with loosening up the hips to get them a little bit more balanced, since breathing goes all the way down to the hips. Start off with 10 lumbar flattening motions. Then we're going to straighten our legs and we're going to stretch out the hips. Begin by bringing the right knee to the chest and hold it for at least one breathing cycle. Then you'll switch to bring your left knee to your chest and hold that for at least one breathing cycle. Next, we proceed to stretch out the lumbars, and you can do it this manner, crossing one ankle over the knee and stretching, or you can just let both knees fall to the side without crossing the ankles. Again, holding each stretch for at least one breathing cycle. Next, we proceed to do diaphragm stretching, where you just take your fingers and gently press into your diaphragm underneath your ribs. Now don't hold this for a breathing cycle, but rather do 10 breaths into your fingers. The deeper you inhale and exhale, the greater the stretch you'll get. Then we finish up with lumbar flattening. Again, do at least 10 rocking back and forth. The ability to do lumbar flattening is critical for these overall breathing exercises, as we want to exercise our muscles so that we can flatten our lumbars and do these breathing exercises without our back arching off the floor, ideally. So, flatten your spine, and now raise your arms slowly overhead, ideally palm upwards, trying to get your hands to touch above your head without your back arching. If you get to a point where you find your back lifting off the floor, stop and return back to neutral, then relax your spine. Each raising of the arm and lowering should be one breathing cycle. Here I go again, trying to raise my arms over my head, and I'm going to be doing the 4 count inhale, and when you're on your 7 count, you can still raise your arms over your head, keeping your spine flattened along the floor. And then when you finally reach the 7th count of holding, do the 8 count of exhalation as your arms return to your side. Continue this cycling for 5 to 10 repetitions of lumbar flattening, 4 count inhalation, raising your arms overhead, 7 count hold, then return your arms to your side during the exhalation. It's okay if after the first few times you're doing these sequences, your hands don't go above your head, but this will be your functional goal. Now we do lumbar flattening and raising our arms directly overhead, trying to get the back of our hands to touch the floor as well. Breathe in 4, hold for 7, and then as your arm returns to your side, exhale for 8, Remember to go only as far as your hands can go while your lumbar stays touching the floor. Hold it at that position, and then when you get to the exhalation, return your hands to your side. I recommend at least 3 breathing cycles per arm. Now we progress and do lifting of the legs while keeping a flat lumbar. Also, breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and bring the knees up. Then for a count of 8, return your leg back to the floor. This particular exercise will really challenge your core strength. If you're unable to do this for the entire 4-7-8 cycle, then come up with another way of counting that allows you to do this several times. But remember, the goal is to lift the knee up to keep the lumbars flat, and then return your foot down while keeping the lumbars flat. Maybe you can only get your foot a little off the ground, and then you have to return it. Keep working at it and consider the 4-7-8 cycle as your goal to improve your core strength and your breathing muscles. Last, we lift the arms and opposite foot while keeping a flat lumbar during the 4-7-8 breathing cycle. Don't be discouraged if you find these are difficult and challenging. You now have an assessment for where your goals should be and how to improve your fitness.